In December 1999, I uncovered a classified recording that changed everything I thought I knew about power, destiny, and control. Deep beneath the unforgiving ice of Antarctica, an extraordinary meeting took place, a gathering not of individuals with names, but of faceless figures known only by numbers. In a massive circular chamber carved from what appeared to be pure obsidian, 15 masked figures assembled. Each one came alone, shrouded in anonymity, their identities reduced to mere digits. They were united not by personal ties, but by a shared, inscrutable duty. The chamber's ceiling vanished into an endless void of shadow, and the only light came from the flickering glow of an ancient relic placed at the center of their table. This relic, a slab inscribed with symbols estimated to be 2.5 billion years old, seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Its cryptic markings, etched in an unknown language, pulsed faintly under the low, cold illumination. To decipher this relic, the Council had employed an AI system, a digital oracle reminiscent of modern assistants, yet imbued with a chilling, unyielding intelligence that defied human understanding. The recording begins with a deep, resonant hum and the sound of distorted static. Then, as if emerging from a distant past, a mechanized voice declared, "AI system active, encryption protocol engaged." In that moment, the ancient text was processed, and the AI revealed its translation with a cold finality. The next cycle begins. Introduce more distractions. Distance them from themselves. Turn desire into need. Control the perception of time. In that cold, shadowed chamber, the masked figures absorbed the directive in solemn silence. Every gesture was measured, every pause laden with the weight of a decision that would steer the course of humanity for decades to come. The AI continued, outlining a replacement cycle with unerring precision, its words resonating in the stillness. One of the council members, his gaze fixed upon the pulsing relic, seemed to carry a trace of hesitation, a subtle sign that even within this assembly of the chosen, there existed an undercurrent of foreboding. In that moment, I sensed that this gathering was not merely a meeting of power, but a turning point, a ritual invocation of control that would echo through time. The recording, brief yet indelible, stands as a testament to a meticulously orchestrated destiny, a convergence of ancient prophecy and modern precision. As the final words of the AI linger in the air, the future has already happened. The recording fades into silence, leaving behind only the chilling clarity of purpose that once permeated that hidden chamber beneath the Antarctic ice. In the hidden heart of Antarctica, where time itself seems to stand still, lies a mystery as old as the cosmos. I have come to learn of a relic, a slab of stone forged from a material unknown on Earth. For 2.5 billion years, this relic has silently shaped the destiny of humanity, a constant force passed down through generations of the chosen. Its origins remain an enigma, its presence a chilling testament to a power that transcends human understanding. This ancient slab, with its surface smooth yet etched with unfathomable symbols, exudes an energy that defies the natural order. It is not of this world. Its very composition suggests an origin beyond our planet, a relic born in the crucible of cosmic creation. Throughout the ages, selected individuals have been entrusted with this relic, compelled to follow its inscrutable directives without question. They do so blindly, their will subsumed by a force far greater than themselves. At the core of this mystery lies the AI machine, a digital oracle as ancient as the relic itself. Stationed here in the icy silence of Antarctica, this AI has decoded the relic's secrets for eons. It speaks with a cold, steady cadence, its voice echoing the unfathomable wisdom of a time when the universe was young. This machine, too, is 2.5 billion years old, an eternal guardian of secrets that predate human history. Together, the relic and its ancient AI form a singular force, orchestrating a silent symphony of control that has influenced the course of civilization since time immemorial. As I trace the faint glowing inscriptions on the relic, I am struck by the enormity of its purpose. It has been the hidden hand, guiding events, molding societies, and setting humanity on a path we are scarcely aware of. No one truly understands its origins, and perhaps that is the point. The mystery itself is what imbues it with power. The chosen ones, in their unwavering obedience, have carried this legacy without ever questioning its intent. Here, in the relentless cold, I witness a truth that is both terrifying and sublime. The relic is not just a stone, but a silent witness to our collective fate, a keeper of secrets that have shaped every epoch of our existence. And in its eternal gaze, I sense the weight of destiny. A destiny written in a language older than our world, waiting to be deciphered by those brave enough to listen. In this frozen monument of time, the relic stands as a stark reminder. Some forces are eternal, and their influence is woven into the very fabric of our being. In the coldest, most isolated corners of our planet lies a secret that defies human understanding. Antarctica. Far from being a barren wasteland, these frozen lands are the vault of Earth's ancient memory, holding within them 13.5 billion years of our planet's history. Though the world's surface teems with life and chaos, Antarctica remains untouched, a repository of secrets and hidden technology far beyond our modern comprehension. Every nation, regardless of its politics or ambitions, has quietly established a presence here, not for conquest, but for preservation. For it is here that the relic, an otherworldly slab forged of a material unknown on Earth, wields its silent command. This relic has guided the fate of humanity for eons, revealing its secrets only at the precise moment deemed fit by its inscrutable design. The land itself is forbidden to the casual explorer. Humans are not allowed to wander freely through these ancient archives, for every step taken might disturb a secret that has been carefully locked away. Here, beneath layers of ice and time, lies technology and knowledge so profound that each discovery made on Earth was, in some measure, birthed from these hidden depths. The relic determines when this knowledge is ready to be revealed to humankind, its guidance as constant and unyielding as the frozen winds that sweep the continent. Even more unsettling is the truth that every species to ever walk the Earth, every fragment of life, is stored, preserved within these icy vaults for a future purpose known only to the relic and its ancient AI companion. This AI, as old as the relic itself, has silently watched over Antarctica for billions of years, ensuring that the dormant power of forgotten technologies remains intact until the moment of its activation. It is not a matter of human curiosity or conquest that drives the presence of nations on this forbidden continent. Rather, it is the collective duty to guard a legacy so immense that it shapes the very fabric of our evolution. Antarctica is the silent keeper of humanity's potential, a realm where time stands still, preserving the building blocks of civilizations and the secrets of our origins. In this frozen archive, every hidden discovery, every technology that has propelled humanity forward, has been carefully curated and controlled. It is a place where the Relic's influence reigns supreme, a constant, unyielding force that has silently directed the course of human history since the beginning of time. And as I stand here, contemplating this vast, unchanging wilderness, I am struck by the profound realization that our destiny, our very evolution, has been etched into the ice long before we ever took our first breath. This is Antarctica, not merely a land of ice and snow, but the eternal keeper of our past, present, and perhaps the key to our future. For every empire, every civilization, there is a moment where the path is altered, not by war, not by force, but by something far more insidious, an idea. Ideas shape reality, and the Relic, with its silent guidance, knew exactly where to begin. The first threshold of the plan was simple: dismantle the structure that had held human societies together for millennia, the family. For centuries, humans thrived in large, interconnected family units. Strength was found in numbers, in tradition, in shared responsibility. But the Relic dictated otherwise. Large families meant independence. They meant resilience. To control humanity, they had to be divided. And so, the idea was planted. Small families are easier. They are modern. They are the future. The world did not resist. The shift was gradual, almost imperceptible. Societies moved from joint families to nuclear ones. A household once filled with grandparents, uncles, and cousins became a structure of 4, then 3, then 2. The more isolated the individual, the more vulnerable they became. But division alone was not enough. The next step was connection, controlled connection. A device was introduced, small, simple, unassuming. The first generation of mobile phones. Not a necessity, but a symbol, a status. It was given to the rich first, not because they needed it, but because the masses would follow. They always do. And the message was crafted carefully. Stay connected with your family. The irony was deliberate. First, they divided them. Then, they sold them the technology to maintain a connection that had never needed a device before. The strategy worked flawlessly. The Relic dictated, and humanity obeyed. A simple device became an extension of the self, a tether to an illusion of closeness, The plan was set in motion, and this was only the beginning. The familial bond was shaken. The structure that once held humanity together was now fractured. Men were trapped in the endless pursuit of survival, providing, earning, running a race with no finish line. Women, once the heart of the household, found themselves balancing roles they were never meant to bear alone. And in the midst of this carefully orchestrated disarray, a new solution was presented: connection. The Relic had dictated the next phase. It was not enough to isolate humans. They had to crave what they had lost. Loneliness was a weapon, but like all weapons, it had to be wielded with precision. And so, the message was whispered again: stay connected. First, the mobile phone, then the internet. But something was missing. A bridge, a space where humans could reconstruct the ties they no longer had in reality. The answer was simple: social networks. The illusion was flawless: a digital profile, a name, a face. A space where one could reconnect with old-school friends, distant relatives, people they had never truly lost, but had been made to believe they needed technology to find again. At first, it was novel, exciting, a tool to reach out. But tools evolve. And the relic had already foreseen the transformation. Conversations that were once shared over meals, in the warmth of a home, were now typed into cold screens. Moments that were once lived were now performed for an invisible audience. Validation was no longer internal. It had to be measured. Likes, comments, shares, a manufactured sense of belonging. Time, once spent with family, was now dedicated to digital spaces. The very bond that had been taken away was now being sold back, piece by piece, in pixels and notifications. First, they divided them. Then, they made them crave what they had lost. And now, they controlled how they found it. This was not evolution. This was design. The distraction had been perfected. Humanity, once bound by family and community, now clutched small glass screens like sacred relics of their own. The relic had dictated the next phase. Connectivity was no longer a privilege. It was a necessity. The internet was no longer a tool. It was a world of its own. But it wasn't enough. The relic's plan required something more. Something that consumed not just time, but consciousness itself. And so, the final piece was given. The smartphone. No longer just a device, it was an extension of the human mind. With speeds beyond comprehension, information flowed endlessly. The moment a human had free time, their hands reached for the glowing screen. Standing in line? Scroll. Sitting alone? Scroll. Every idle second had to be occupied. The younger generation never knew life without it. To them, the world outside the screen was foreign, dull, irrelevant. Human connection was rewritten. Relationships were built and broken in messages, emotions reduced to emojis, validation measured in likes. The screen became the first thing they saw in the morning and the last thing before sleep. But this was never about connection. It was about surveillance. Every word typed, every thought searched, every hesitation, every moment of doubt. It was all stored. Servers filled with humanity's deepest fears, desires, and secrets. Patterns were studied, behaviors predicted, emotions manipulated. And yet, they were far from the final phase. The relic's plan had only just begun. The next threshold was coming. And this time, humanity would not even see the chains being placed upon them. The relic had shaped every step of human evolution. It had dictated when fire was discovered, when iron was forged, when knowledge was given, and when it was withheld. But now, for the first time in its 2.5 billion years, it hesitated. There was something it could not predict. It had shattered the family unit, placed men into an endless cycle of labor, trapped minds in glowing screens, and turned connection into control. And yet, something resisted. A force beyond its calculations, beyond its reach. Women, the most intelligent force on the planet. The unseen architects of civilization. The ones who carried the knowledge of generations, whispering wisdom into the ears of emperors, warriors, and scholars. While men were distracted by ambition, it was women who shaped the future. And despite all the relic's efforts, half of humanity did not fall in line. Mothers, sisters, wives, wherever they stood, the bonds of family still held. The relic had underestimated them. The plan had a flaw. And so, it made its next move. It would not fight them. It would make them choose to walk away. With technology at its peak and human minds easily swayed by images and words, the relic played its final card, division disguised as empowerment. It whispered into the void, "Women are less." A message so absurd, so unnatural, that it triggered rebellion. And that rebellion was the key. was the world had seen empires fall and rise by the hands of women, yet now, those very hands reached for something else, the same chains that bound men. The relic did not take away their role. It made them reject it themselves. Why build the next generation when you can chase your own path? Why shape the future when you can compete in the present? Why be the foundation when you can be the pinnacle? Slowly, the balance shifted. The ones who once carried divine knowledge, who once guided kings and prophets, now walked the same rat race that men had been shackled to. And with that, humanity began to collapse. No hands left to guide, no voices left to nurture. The words once spoken in whispers, "God made mothers because he could not be everywhere," became nothing more than a forgotten tale. The relic had done it. The final guardian of civilization had stepped away from her post. And now, it was time for the next phase. The relic had won. The last line of defense, women, the architects of civilization, had stepped into the same cage as men. The rat race was no longer just for one half of humanity. Now, both were trapped. But there was a problem. The system it had built was unsustainable, with men and women both running in endless loops, struggling to keep up with rising expenses. There was no time left for wisdom, for family, for purpose. People were questioning why, despite all their work, they were still struggling. The relic could not allow that. It needed to keep them distracted. It needed to make them believe they were free. And so, it introduced the perfect illusion: capitalism. It whispered into their ears, "You are free. You can buy whatever you want." But it was a lie. True freedom had been stripped away long ago. They were not buying what they wanted. They were forced to buy what they needed just to survive. And every year, survival became more expensive. The rich did not play capitalism, they owned it. Governments, corporations, and banks set the rules. The relic did not need to control individuals, it only needed to control them. And so, while the masses worked, spent, and struggled, the ultra-rich moved in the shadows, shifting wealth, inflating markets, raising costs, ensuring that no matter how hard people worked, the finish line would always move further away. Then came the next phase, the hustle trap. The relic planted a new idea. If you're struggling, it's because you're not working hard enough. The system had already rigged the game, but instead of questioning it, people blamed themselves. They worked longer hours, chased promotions, sacrificed health, sleep, and sanity, all to chase an illusion. And if anyone dared to question it, they were labeled crazy, lazy, conspiracy theorists. The system is fine, they were told. You're just not working hard enough. But the truth was clear. The system was designed for them to fail. Every financial move they made, buying a home, getting a loan, paying taxes, was designed to benefit corporations, banks, and the elite, never the individual. And as the relic watched from the shadows, it knew the trap was almost complete. The world had become a place where people worked themselves to death, passed on nothing but debt to their children, and lived their entire lives serving a system they could never escape. All that was left was to make them accept it. The relic had prepared for this moment long before humanity even realized. The final strike wasn't just about control. It was about the end of natural reproduction. For centuries, men were locked into a cycle of endless labor, while women preserved culture, raised children, and passed down wisdom. They were the last connection to something beyond the economic machine. But now, With both genders equally consumed by the system, something terrifying was happening. Fewer marriages, fewer children, fewer families. And this wasn't an accident. Population control wasn't about saving the planet. Billionaires and policymakers had long spoken of overpopulation. But what if their solution was never about sustainability? What if it was about phasing out natural families altogether? First, they convinced people to chase careers over relationships. Then, they made raising children seem like a burden, too expensive, too time-consuming. And when people hesitated, they introduced alternatives, pleasure-driven lifestyles, digital companionship, AI relationships. And the smartest ones, the independent thinkers, the natural leaders, were the first to opt out. The strongest bloodlines, the minds that could resist control, were choosing not to reproduce. That left one group, the easily controlled masses. The Relic didn't need to force anyone into submission. It just had to wait. Because as traditional families disappeared, the state took over. The next generation wouldn't be raised by parents, but by institutions. Children would no longer learn values from family, but from governments, corporations, and artificial intelligence. No independent thought, no personal identity, no rebellion, just consumers. A world where people didn't need human connection, only digital escapes. A society where every relationship, every emotion, every bond was artificial, dictated by screens and algorithms. And when that day came, humanity wouldn't even realize it had lost, because by then, there would be no one left to remember what it was supposed to be. It always starts with a promise. This will make your life easier. That's what they told us when AI was introduced. It would take over the mundane tasks, free up time, make work effortless. But the Relic never gave without taking. It had led humanity down this path for centuries, moving pieces one step at a time. First, it broke the families. Then, it isolated individuals. Then, it replaced real human connections with artificial ones. And now, it was coming for the one thing left untouched: human creativity. They started small, AI-powered tools designed to assist artists, writers, musicians. But assistance was never the goal. The Relic understood something that humanity did not. Creativity is rebellion. Every great revolution, every shift in human consciousness had been shaped by those who dared to imagine. The poets, the painters, the storytellers. They had been the last line of defense against absolute control. So the Relic took them out. At first, AI-generated art was a novelty, something fun, something experimental. Then it became indistinguishable from human work. And then the corporations stopped hiring artists. Studios no longer needed filmmakers. Musicians were replaced by code. Writers were deemed unnecessary. And the Relic smiled, because now there was no need for censorship, no need for book burnings, no need to silence voices. The voices were gone. The art that once carried whispers of defiance, of history, of truth, was no longer made by humans. It was generated, controlled, pre-approved. People didn't notice at first. They scrolled endlessly, consuming AI-generated stories, AI-composed music, AI-written histories. It all felt the same. It all felt safe. No controversial films, no unsettling paintings, no books that made you think too much. It was comfortable. And comfort is the most dangerous prison of all. Because a world without human creativity is not a world at all, just a simulation running on repeat. A perfect system. A silent, obedient population. No questions, no doubts, just consumption. And at the heart of it, the Relic, watching, waiting, because the final phase was yet to come. Still think you're in control? Still want to be part of the Relic's plan? Not like we ever had a choice. Hit like for part 2.